What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Season 9, Episode 1, Ketchup to My Mustard. So, we have a brand new season of 90 Day Fiance, the OG, the one that started it all, the one that first got me addicted to the whole entire 90 Day franchise. And this 1 week of not having any 90 Day to watch it was hard for me, y'all, but I'm glad that it's back and I will accept it in any form. So let's get into it. First of all, about this season, what I want to say is that everybody, all the couples so far that I saw on episode 1, all the couples look really good together. They all look believable. They all look realistic. You don't have a 5'1", 250-pound, balding, average looking, goofy looking, fuddy-duddy kind of guy trying to make us believe that he's in a real relationship with a 6'1" Swedish model. These couples this season are realistic. They're down to earth. Yes, they all have their issues, they all have their problems, whatever, but as far as aesthetically, it's all believable to me. It's all believable, except for one, but they weren't featured in this episode. So it's not that bad. It's not as bad as we've seen it, but it is a little bit concerning for me, but we'll get to that whenever they show up. So we're going to start off with Bilal. He's 42 and he's with Shada. She's 37. Bilal is from Kansas City, Missouri, and Shada is from Trinidad and Tobago. So she slipped into his DMs. They're both of the Islam faith, and I found that kind of, I'm not going to say her. Okay. So Bilal wants us to believe that for whatever reason, she found something about him that was very interesting and she decided to contact him or to make that first contact through his DMs. His ex-wife was like, well, maybe it's because you look like you have money because we know how you like to flex on the gram. And he was like, no, I didn't show off anything that would reveal that, I have money or that I'm wealthy. So he really wants to believe that she just was interested in him for who he was. Now, Bilal is a decent looking guy. He's not ugly by any means. He is an attractive guy, but it's not to the point where I would imagine a Muslim woman making an initial contact with him just based on his looks. I'm pretty sure that he was flexing. I'm pretty sure that he was, showing off his wealth in some form or fashion, and this is what piqued her interest. I just don't think that she would have slid into his DMs just because. But, let him tell it. It was because of his ravishing good looks. He calls himself hood bougie. He grew up in the hood. The hood is what made him who he is today, but he does have very bougie taste. So we see his collection of watches. We see his Mercedes. He lives in a nice home, so on and so forth. And he has an ex-wife. They were married for 10 years and they've been divorced now for 7 years. And her name is very similar to his fiance. Her name is Shahida, and I think his fiance is Shida. So he said that when Shida, the fiance, slid into his DMs, at first he was very resistant to her because her name was so similar to his ex-wife. So, Bilal, you want us to believe that you would turn down an attractive woman who is initiating contact, who's making the first move on you. You want us to believe that you shunned her or you rejected her advances because of the name thing, because her name was similar to your ex-wife's name. I don't think so. Bilal is also extremely OCD. We see him in his home, constantly shifting things, moving things, trying to position things just right. Now, what I thought was really crazy was when he went into his kitchen and the faucet to his sink, he made sure was directly in the middle, above the divider between the two sinks. So you have the two sinks and you have the thing in the middle that divides them both. So the faucet has to be directly positioned above that divider. I was like, wow, is this the reason why you got a divorce? Come on and tell us, Shaida, tell us that you left this man because he was driving you up the wall with making sure that the faucet was positioned just right above the sink. So he has two children with his ex-wife. They're 16 and 13 years old. He shares custody with his kids. Now his home is extremely white. Everything is white. Everything is glass. Everything is crystal. So I don't know what happens when his kids come over, what he has to do. I don't know if he keeps them locked up in their rooms or what, because this home looks like a model home. It doesn't even look like a home that anybody lives in. And even though his kids are a little bit older, they're 16 and 13 years old, kids are still kids at this age. But his house is absolutely clean, spotless, not a speck of dust, not a spot on the pillow, not a spot on the carpet. Everything is just pristine. And like I said, he's extremely OCD, so everything has to look perfect at all times. He's a real estate investor. He's also a real estate agent. He went to Trinidad, I guess, to go visit Shada, to go visit her. And within that 7-day period that he was visiting her in Trinidad, I guess they really hit it off, and he went ahead and he proposed to her, and she said yes. Now, they're both Islamic, and so the religion does not allow for them to live together or do anything together until they are married. But to bypass all of that, because of the fact that she has to come here and stay here for 90 days before they can get legally married, and to allow her to live with him, they went ahead and got married under Nikah law, which means that you are united under the eyes of God. You're just not united on paper or legally. I'm assuming that's what's going on there. So the ex-wife is visiting him because she's also his client. He's helping her find a home. So they're having a conversation about Shida, and the ex-wife asks him, well, how do you know that she's with you for love and not for money? And he says, well, because I don't flex on the gram. I don't show off my possessions or my wealth or whatever on social media. And the ex-wife, I guess, I don't know, I doubted that. I didn't believe that at all. I don't believe that a woman, especially a woman of faith, would make the first move on a man if he wasn't flexing something on the gram. Like if he wasn't showing, what his worth was, because he's a decent looking guy, but he's not an Adonis to make women just forget about their beliefs and start DMing him like crazy. So the ex-wife also asks him about a prenup, and he was like, yes, that is definitely into play, because he went through this very traumatic divorce with her. He's like, yeah, the next time I get married, I am definitely going to make sure that I have a prenup. His ex-wife wants to make sure that he signs the prenup because they have children, and so she wants to make sure that her children's interest is going to be protected. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to see several scenes or several episodes of the ex-wife hounding into him, have you gotten the prenup done? Have you gotten the prenup done? So then we see a scene of him out with his two children. They're out fishing on the boat, just him and his two kids. He tells his kids that Shida is on her way, that she's going to be there the following Sunday. The kids do seem really excited to see her because they know of her. And he tells them that, she's not going to replace your mother. She's not your mom. So we all understand that no one is going to make her become your mom or anything like that. So, you can call her whatever you want to call her. You can call her by her name, or you can make up a cute little nickname for her. The kids are all cool with that. So then we see a FaceTime. Then he's FaceTiming his fiance, Shida, and Shida talks about how she can't wait to see the house, because every time that they do FaceTime, he is sitting in front of this blank white wall, and she has never seen the whole interior of the home or the exterior of the home. So she's excited about that. And he purposely does not want her to see what his house looks like, because he wants to make sure that she's in it for genuine love and not for his material possession or his money. So then Shida says that she's really scared about being a bonus mom because she doesn't have any children of her own. She's 37 years old. She's never really dealt with children, I guess, really hands-on like that. So she is a little bit kind of, nervous or anxious about it. She does also want to have her own children. And when she brings that topic up to Bilal, he kind of brushes it off, because he's like, his kids are almost, they're halfway grown, or whatever you want to call it. They're 13 and 16 years old. So they're very far away from the baby stage or the toddler stage, where a child demands so much of your attention. So he's kind of like chilling right now, and he likes where he's at right now. So the whole discussion of having more children, he keeps on shelving that with her. He really doesn't want to get into it. That's a discussion, Bilal, that you're going to have expeditiously, because you don't want to get married to someone and y'all are not on the same page as far as children. So as soon as she lands in Kansas City, please, Bilal, talk about that with her immediately and tell her exactly what your intentions are so that y'all can make sure that y'all are on the same page or not. Otherwise, don't waste this woman's time. She's already 37 years old. Please don't waste her time. So then Bilal's sister comes over. Her name is Nefertari, and she came all the way from Atlanta, and she even brought a gift for Shida. And it's just like a little welcoming gift with a whole bunch of stuff that represents Kansas City and that also represents Trinidad and Tobago. Shida says that moving will be a challenge. They're talking about, so the sister's like, well, her coming here, her moving here, it's going to be, a challenge for you, because the sister understands how OCD her brother is, because he likes everything to be a certain way. And I'm pretty sure beyond things being placed in certain places, he also probably lives a certain type of lifestyle where maybe he's on like on a strict schedule. He has a very strict routine. And so the sister's like, how are you going to be adjusting to living with a whole nother person after 7 years alone? And he's like, it is going to be an adjustment for me, but it's also going to be an adjustment for her as well. Like I said before, I really wonder for the sister to bring this up, like, your OCD ways, is this going to be an issue for her, because she's going to have to adjust to all of that. For her to bring it up the way she did, it made me think that maybe his OCD ways had a lot to do with his divorce. So he tells his sister that Shida's been engaged 2 times, and this concerns him because it seems like she's probably commitment phobic, and he worries about like them making it to the altar. And the sister asked him, well, why didn't her engagements follow through to marriage? And he was like, well, I really don't want to pry too much. I didn't really ask her the questions. And the sister was like, oh, hell no, you need to ask those questions, because you need to see if something similar can happen to you. So you need to ask her those questions and recognize the signs. If you know why she left her other fiancés, then when you see signs in your own relationship, you'll know how to deal with that. The sister says that she sees a lot of red flags with Shida. She's 37 years old and never been married. The sister thinks that that's kind of suspicious. I don't really know why, because relationships nowadays are not like the way they used to be, 50, 70, 80 years ago. Okay. They are completely different. Especially all relationships, but the only thing that I can really speak of is like American relationships. I mean, things have changed a lot. The way people date nowadays is completely different. The way that people meet nowadays is completely different. It's just completely astronomically different from the way things used to be during our parents' time or our grandparents' time. So 37 and never married. Maybe she's very cautious because she knows the games that people play. So she's probably extremely cautious. And unfortunately, she's been cautious to the point where she's 37 and still not married. But I don't think that's a red flag. I think that's probably, it could be, I don't know, maybe there is something wrong with her, but it could be a sign of someone being very, very cautious about their heart and their emotions and their future. She's never been married. Oh no, she's never been on her own. That's another issue that the sister had. I don't know what that's all about, because they didn't go into too much detail about her not being on her own, and the 2 broken engagements. So these are the things that concern the sister. Bilal says that love hasn't been very kind to him. He tells his sister that because I guess even though him and his ex-wife are in a really good place now, I guess their divorce was probably very traumatic for him. So the sister got very emotional and she started crying because she doesn't want to see her brother hurt the way he was before. So I'm pretty sure he met his ex-wife in a very traditional manner, and then they still ended up getting a divorce. So now that you met someone because they slid into your DMs, I know the sister is probably triple concerned about her brother and his heart and how this woman is gonna, treat him. She says, Shida says that. No, Bilal said that Shida will not see his home until the day after she arrives. So this grown man, okay, y'all, this grown man is going to basically prank her. When she arrives to Kansas City, he will not be taking her to the home that he lives in now, which is the nice, expensive house. He's going to take her to his childhood home, which is a rundown house in a rundown neighborhood. And he wants to see how she is going to react to that. And if she doesn't have the correct reaction, I guess that's going to tell him the what's up on her. So he thinks that this is like really cute. He thinks this is really funny. He thinks that there's no way this could go wrong. The producers even asked him in his confessional, do you think that your prank could possibly backfire? And this man actually said, no, I don't think so. I'm hoping she'll find it funny because, you know, his trust has been really broken since his divorce. Are you kidding me, Bilal? No. That is so unfair to her because that's like a really horrible joke to play on someone. And I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up, anyways. So you're gonna take her to this rundown home because you want to see how. Who would go to a rundown home and act happy about it and be like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. The broken windows and the boards all over the windows and the torn up furniture and the messed up floors. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. Who's going to act like that? Like, why would you do something like that to gauge her love for you or how genuine she is about this relationship? That's just absolutely awful. And you should be ashamed of yourself, Bilal. I don't know why anybody would allow you to do something like this, but this is not a good idea. Oh, and he's also going to pick her up in his rundown van. He doesn't want to pick her up in his Mercedes because he just wants to make sure that, you know, she's in it for the right reasons. Okay. Whatever, Bilal. That's stupid. That's immature. You're a grown man. Act like it, please. You're going to find out soon enough. I mean, y'all have 90 days to figure this out. So even if you take her to your real house and you pick her up in your real Mercedes, in 90 days, you should be able to kind of gauge whether or not she's in it for the money or if she's in it for love. And you taking her to some fake rundown home to see how she reacts and then get mad at her if she doesn't absolutely fall in love with the shack. It's just, to me, that's ridiculous and insane. Moving on to Cara, who is 29, and Guillermo, who is 23. Cara is from Charlottesville, Virginia. Guillermo is he's originally from Venezuela, but living in Dominican Republic. And I think they met in the Dominican. So she's a balloon artist, as you can, that says it all right there. She does art with her balloons. And she's a Jill of all trades. She's done a little bit of everything throughout her life, throughout COVID, whatever. So she's lived in 4 countries and she speaks 3 languages. I need to know if one of those languages is Spanish because I'll get to that later. So while she was working in the Dominican Republic, she was there for, I don't know how long she was there, but she was there 2 years ago. She met Guillermo and it was love at first sight, I guess. So they are already engaged. He already proposed to her and they've already applied for the K-1 visa. COVID pushed everything back. So it's taken everything a very long time to get processed, but he was approved for the K-1 visa. The only issue is he has a passport, but his passport is expired and he cannot renew the passport because there's a lot of political uproar, I guess, in Venezuela. So the government agencies are not running or they're running extremely slow or whatever the situation is. Because of the political unrest, he wasn't able to renew his passport. But he has like special documents that should give him permission to travel from Venezuela to the United States with an expired passport. But just to make sure that nothing happens and there's no hiccups at the embassy, or not the embassy, but in customs or wherever, she will be going to Dominican Republic to travel back with him to the United States, just to make sure that everything goes smoothly, even though he has the proper documentation. So, Cara, so she says something like, she just hopes, I forgot what she said. She said something about his maturity, I think, like hoping that he had all his documents together, or that, because they were FaceTiming each other and she kept on asking him, do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have everything all together? And he's like, yes, 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 or whatever. I think it was something about his responsibility. Like, is he responsible enough to take care of all of it? Whatever the situation was, it made me respond with this. Cara, he's 23 years old. Please keep in mind that he's 23 years old, okay? He's been living on this earth only 23 years. 10 years ago, he was 13. So if he forgets things, if he's not as responsible as you would like him to be, don't hold it against him. He's still extremely young. 23 years old for a guy is very, very young. So don't hold it against him, because I don't want to see her being a little bit older, a little bit wiser, demeaning him or criticizing him or reprimanding him because he's forgetful or he doesn't take things seriously as she does. I don't want to see that. So she arrives in the DR, to get her man, and Guillermo tells us that he was part of the resistance in Venezuela. So he was, protesting for, I guess, equal rights. I'm not quite sure. I don't have the details of what was going on in Venezuela, but he was part of the, the organizations or the groups to make Venezuela better. Well, it got a little bit too violent for him, so he went off to the DR and he realized, hey, I can still protest and be there for my country without being in my country. So I guess he's got like this activism spirit in him. And so he talked about how they first met and, how attractive he found her. And whenever they were together, she asked him for a kiss and he was like, you know what, I wasn't going to miss this opportunity. So he dove right in and he kissed her and it was magic and it was wonderful. And now they're meant to be. She finally arrives at the airport to pick him up. And he greets her at the airport with a bouquet of flowers, which I was very happy to see, because on 90 Day Fiance, these men will show up at the airport completely empty-handed. So at least he had a bouquet of flowers for her, and a really nice bouquet of flowers, not something that came from a vending machine. Moving on to Jibri and Mionas. Is that her name? Or Miona? Jibri is from he's from Rapid City, South Dakota. He's 28 years old. Miona is 23 from Nish, Siberia. Now, Jibri looks like Chris Brown to me. Every time I saw his face, I was reminded of Chris Brown. He looks just like Chris Brown. Of course, a little bit younger, a little bit fuller in the face. His eyes are not so sunken in from extracurricular activities, a little bit fuller in the body, because he's healthy and he's not an addict. But he very much reminded me of Chris Brown every time I looked at, especially with the blonde hair. So another question that I have is Miona, is she part black? Because there were some of these, they had photos of her that they showed us, and I really questioned, like, is she black? Because she was extremely tan and just the features, I don't know. Is she part black? It doesn't matter. I'm not making it a thing. It's not a big deal. Nobody really cares. It's just a question that I had. So Jibri, he's very colorful. He's wild. He's eccentric. He does the whole dyeing of the hair, the crazy clothes, the tattoos. Music is his passion. He's in a band. He also does some solo music work. The band that he has is called the Black Serbs. His band mate is also from Serbia. Did I say Siberia or Serbia? I'm sorry. I think it's Serbia. Yeah, I think it's Serbia. His bandmate is also from Serbia. So I guess because of the bandmate being from Serbia, they would travel to Serbia a lot. And during one of his trips, he met and fell in love with Miona. Now, he said that when he would go to Serbia, he did not want to fall in love. Or is she from Siberia? I don't know. He did not want to fall in love, but, he couldn't help himself when he saw her. And, the rest is history. So they got engaged in Thailand, of all places. And when they got engaged, he was wearing a red suit and she was wearing a yellow dress. And he said that they looked like ketchup and mustard. He was living in LA at the time, but because of the effects of COVID, he couldn't perform. Him and the band could not perform as much because remember the limitations on how many people could gather in one room. So that completely killed his, or put his music career on pause. So he couldn't perform anymore. Of course, running out of money, didn't do anything else. He had to go back to Rapid City, South Dakota to live with his parents. His parents, we meet them. He describes his mother as a very strong, biracial, kick-ass therapist, and she is his superhero, and her name is Mahala. That name to me is so beautiful. I love the way that name sounds. I love saying that name, Mahala. Oh my God, that's a beautiful name. So we meet his mother, we meet his father, who's actually his stepfather, but he sees his stepdad as like his real dad because his real dad is in and out of prison or in prison or just away. And so he considers his stepdad as his real dad because he's raised him since he was 6 years old and the only father figure that he has. Miona's K-1 visa was definitely approved and she is on her way. He tells his parents that Miona is not really excited about living in South Dakota and she would rather live in LA. So he says that growing up, he suffered a lot of racial identity issues, because he wasn't black enough for the black people. He wasn't white enough for the white people because of the fact that he's mixed. And so he had to deal with that. But, he's like a beautiful soul. Like, he's so interesting to watch and to listen to. He's like a breath of fresh air. He sees South Dakota as his home. Even though he lived in LA for a while, he traveled the world. He really does see South Dakota as his home. The mom is very nervous about Miona coming because you're going to have like the stranger living in your house. Like, you don't even know this person. You don't even know them. And as soon as they land, they're going to be living in your home, integrated into your family. I would be nervous too. I'd be freaking out. And the mother says that, when you look at her Instagram or her social media photos, she looks like somebody who would fit better in an LA type of city instead of Rapid City, South Dakota. The mom also is very concerned about how Jabri is going to support her because they are engaged. This is his fiance, so he has to figure out a way to support her. He says that he's a hustler. He can sell anything to anybody, and all he needs is that one big break for one of his songs, and he's going to be on Easy Street. So he's FaceTiming his fiance, Miona. She's out shopping, and he says she's always out shopping. She's one of those, I'm just going to say it. She's like a Kardashian wannabe. The way she looks, the way she talks, the way she moves. It's like she has studied the Kardashians. Like, a lot of people have studied the Kardashians through and through and want to emulate everything about the Kardashians. There are a lot of Kardashian lookalikes on social media. It's crazy. It's insane. Everybody's just a carbon copy of Kim and not so much Courtney, Kim and Khloe and Kylie. That's all. It's like cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. Kim, Khloe, and Kylie. That's the only thing people want to look at. No matter what race they are, no matter what they look like, height, body size, age, everybody wants to look like a Kardashian. And she definitely fits the mold. So Jabri says in his confessional that Miona is really good at making money, but she's not really good at saving money. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure she's expecting you to take care of her. So her money is going to be for the fun stuff, and then you have to worry about the more serious stuff. He says he's also not good at saving money either. You think? It's kind of obvious. So I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to be living with his parents for a very long time. Now, Miona is already anxious because she doesn't want to live in South Dakota. She hasn't even moved there yet. She hasn't even given this place a chance yet. And already she's ready to get out. Now, if she really... I'm going to say this. If she's really into Jabri, it's not going to matter where they live. She's just going to be happy to be with her man, that she's not going to care where they live, but she cares, and she cares a whole lot about it. And it's a problem between the two of them. So she doesn't want to live in Rapid City. She wants to stay there for like a hot minute, and then she wants to hightail it on to LA or New York, the most expensive cities in the United States, including Miami. But they don't want to do the work to live in those type of cities. They just want to like teleport to these cities and have everything like handed to them, like this rich lifestyle just handed to them. I don't know what's going on. So then I had to question my girl Miona. Girl, if you wanted to live in New York and LA so bad, like so bad that you don't see yourself living in Rapid Cities for a hot second, then girl, why didn't you get a man from LA or New York? Why couldn't you just do that? And if you don't want to do that because your heart is with Jabri, then just be happy with Jabri wherever y'all are at. So she also wants to have a beach wedding. That's also a priority for her. She has to have a beach wedding. And they live in South Dakota, which I don't think has any coastline at all. It's landlocked. So she keeps on making a big deal about this beach wedding. He suggests that they get married on the prairie with some damn horses. Now, you look at your fiance, Miona, you look at her, and Jabri, you really see her on the prairie with some horses? That's interesting. So Miona, she doesn't want to come to America. She says she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to come to America and live like a 50-year-old. Ain't nothing wrong with being 50, girl. 50 is the new 30, okay? 50 is like the new 20. 50-year-olds, when you look at TikTok, they are living it up, and they're living it up big, okay? They're having a great time. They're enjoying life. There's nothing wrong with living like a 50-year-old. But she doesn't want to live in Rapid Cities at all. And his plan is that they stay with his parents in Rapid Cities for 12 months, save money, and then they can move to LA or wherever they want to go. Jabri says, do you love me enough to stay in South Dakota for 12 months? She says, it's got nothing to do with love. It's got everything to do with this. She doesn't say that, but that's my interpretation. So Jabri and Mahala talk. Him and his mom are having a conversation. And the mom is really concerned about Miona coming. And she's even more concerned about the fact of how is she going to be dressing in my house, because I need her to show some respect. The mom says, when I look at her photos on the social media, she's like, everything is out there. You know, she's bearing it all for the world to see. And I don't want that in my house. And so Jabri first says, in his confession, he's like, I don't know why my mom is tripping about her attire, because my mom grew up in Portland, Oregon, and you know, she went to nude beaches and very progressive, and she's a feminist, you know, all about women's rights. But now she's trying to stifle my fiance on how she should dress. Well, Jabri, sweetheart, my love, there's a whole man living there called your father, and I'm pretty sure Mahala doesn't want any misconceptions, any type of misunderstandings of what could be going on when you put a half naked girl running around in front of, you know, her man. She doesn't want any, she doesn't want those problems. So Jabri, act like you have some sense and make sure that your girl is covered up and looking decent when she's in your mother's home. And if y'all don't like your mother's rules, go get your own place in LA or New York. So her other issue is the fact that she doesn't like how Miona talks to her son. Mahala says that she overheard a conversation between the two of them, and the conversation got heated, and Miona called her son stupid. And the mom was like, you know, what's up with that? What kind of a girl is she for her to call you something like that, to call you stupid? And Jabri says, well, yeah, you know, I really hope that you don't get mad if she calls you stupid. And the mom was like, excuse me? What? She's the kind of girl who would call your mother stupid? Oh, no, sir. No, sir. Not in my house. That's not going to happen. So hopefully she's going to have some type of decorum, some kind of respect for the parents and their home. And girl, it's just temporary. Miona, it is temporary. It's just it's temporary. You're not going to be there for the rest of your lives. Now, Jabri did say that South Dakota is home to him, but who knows? So that's them. Moving on to Emily and Kobe. Emily is 29 and Kobe is 34. She's from, it's not Selena. They called it Selena? It looks like Selena, Kansas, but she's from Kansas. She grew up on a farm around a whole bunch of animals, a whole bunch of horses. She traveled a lot while she was in college. She was living it up. She was practically, it looked like from the picture, she was partying all over the world. So she went to China for, I think she had a teaching job in China. And while she was there is where she met, you know, Kobe. Wouldn't you know that she would have met the only black guy in that particular city or town in China? Because coincidentally, she says, and I quote, I like black boys. That didn't sit right with me. She said boys. Yeah, that kind of bothered me just a tiny bit. I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but yeah, I really didn't care for that. If she would have said, I like black guys, I like black men, okay, cool. But she said black boys. This is a grown man. He's 34 years old. He's older than you. And I'm pretty sure that you as an adult, you know, it seems like all of her past relationships may have been with ethnic men. Her as a woman has been dealing with grown men. You don't deal with boys. You're not out there with minors. You're out there with, you know, adult men. So let's just clean up our language just a tad bit. You like black men. Okay. So Kobe he was in China when he was living there, an underwear model. So his physique, everything about him is like on point, spot on. She said that they hooked up the very first night that they met, but I guess they realized they had feelings for each other. So it was more than just a one night stand, and they actually became engaged. He proposed, she said yes, and they were engaged. 4 weeks after the engagement, she found out that she was preggers. And she said that it was shock. She was in shock, or it was a shocker to her. And once again, I have to say, if you're not taking precautions, why are you surprised? Why are people surprised when they're out there free basing, no nothing. And then they get pregnant and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I was so shocked to find that I was pregnant. Why? If you were shocked that you were pregnant, knowing that you weren't using any type of protection or you weren't taking any kind of birth control, can you explain to us why you would be shocked? Was it because you couldn't get pregnant? The doctors told you were diagnosed with some type of fertility issue and that's why you were shocked? I need an explanation. But if that's not the case, if you don't have any fertility issues and you're out there living it up, why are you shocked why do people get shocked when they get pregnant? I don't understand that. So anyways, he had to go back to Cameroon after his little modeling contract was over in China. And so she's back in Kansas. He's back in Cameroon. Her mother is, of course, very doubtful about this relationship for a plethora of reasons that I'm pretty sure we all have. And she says that her daughter has a pretty bad track record because out of the 4 last serious relationships that she had, 2 of the guys are now in prison. So she doesn't know how to pick them. So she had a baby boy. I think his name is Coven. It sounded like she was saying COVID, but I was like, no, there's no way she would have named her kid COVID. So I think his name is Coven. They applied for the K-1 visa. Obviously, the delay of COVID, everything got pushed back. So now it's been 2 years since they've seen each other. But he's on his way, okay? Everything was approved. He's on his way, and the baby is now 17 months old. So, wow, he practically missed out the entire baby stage of his son. So the last time that they were together, it was just fun from sun up to sundown. They were just living it up, having a good time. And she said she was really fit back then. She was working out a lot, and they showed pictures, and she was a whole lot slimmer back then when she first met Kobe. But now, she's had a baby. She's gotten the pregnancy weight, the baby weight, and she says she has a mom bod, and she's really worried about Kobe finding her attractive after all, the weight that she's put on. Emily in her confessional says that now that she's older, she wants her parents to approve of her boyfriend, or her fiance actually, because back in the day when she was younger, she could care less what her parents thought about her partners. But now that she's older, she has a child, and plus they're going to be depending on her parents 100%. She really wants them to like her. Her whole family, her dad, her mom, her sister, they're all very doubtful about this relationship. Her parents say that they tell her that just because you have a kid together doesn't mean that you have to, hook up your life to him or hitch your life to him forever and always. You can still be single and co-parent and live your life without being married to him. She doesn't want to see it that way. She wants to marry this man. So the mom wonders if Kobe would still have come to the U.S. for Emily if they didn't have a child together. Now that right there, Mom, is the $1 million question. Will Kobe still have pursued the K-1 visa, getting married in 90 days, if they didn't have a child? So they talk about it being a really big, they're all having dinner. Her and her family, her parents and her sister, they're having dinner and they're talking about Kobe's arrival. And the question came up, well, how is he going to adjust living here in Kansas City? And so she says, well, Kansas City doesn't have a very large Black or African American population. So it's going to be like a huge adjustment for him. And I'm like, girl, why would it be a huge adjustment for him? You met him in China. How many Black people were in China when you met him? In that town or Providence or that little city that you were in? How many Black people were there? Was it a plethora of Blacks? If he could make it in China as this, it looks like he's damn near 6 foot tall, dark chocolate Black man in China, I think he'll be fine in, where's she from? Kansas. I think he'll be just fine in Kansas. Don't worry about him. He'll adjust okay in Kansas. So Kobe is no longer modeling. Okay, he's back in Cameroon. We talked about that. And she has a nannying job. She was a nanny, but it doesn't pay a lot. So her dad is like, okay, so basically I'm going to be supporting everybody. And the answer to that, Dad, is correct. You are very much correct. You're going to be putting in overtime, triple time, double time, quadruple time to take care of this whole entire family on your salary. So the dad begs her to not get pregnant again. He begs and begs her, do not get pregnant again, because it's already enough of a strain on him. So she's like, well, I have birth control, but I just haven't been taking it. Why not? Your man is on his way. He'll be arriving there any day now. Why haven't you been? So she goes, we don't plan on having any more children in this house. That's what she said. She goes, we don't plan on having any more children in this house. So, but we're just not ready to move out yet. And she says that they don't have the money together yet to move out. So she said that they're ready to move out. They're ready to be on their own. They're ready to start living their lives together as an independent couple. They're ready to have more children together in their own house, but not that house, not her parents' house, not this house, but their own house. They're definitely going to be having more kids together. She's so ready to move out, but she has no money. How can you say you're ready to move out when you have no money? What does that mean to you that you're ready to move out with no money? Does that mean that you like the idea of moving out and so you think you're ready to move out? How do you move out when you have no money? That's what I need answered. You're not ready to move out. You're not ready to do anything. You're not ready to do much of anything, Emily. So Kobe, they talk about how Kobe opened up a cafe in Cameroon 3 months before he was supposed to leave Cameroon to come to the United States. So the family's like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he open up a cafe, put all this money into opening up his own business when he's about to come to the United States? Well, maybe, okay, I understood what they meant. It kind of didn't make any sense that you would invest in a business, but then you're going to come to America and have no money. But maybe he did that because it's an investment for him and he's going to have his family or whoever generate an income from that cafe, and he's going to be using that income to help him live in America. Maybe that's what his plan was, but her family was like, that was so stupid of him to open a cafe right before coming to America. Well, I'm pretty sure people are going to keep the cafe running over there. I'm hoping they're going to keep the cafe running over there, and then that money that the cafe is making will go to him here in the United States so he can take care of his family. Not 100%. He probably with that money could take care of his family maybe 10%, and the dad does 90%. But it's something. It's better than nothing. So I didn't see anything wrong with him opening a cafe right before he came to the United States. So the dad says that he needs Kobe to prove to him that after the 90 days that he's going to be able to take care of Emily and Coven without his help, that he can take care of his little family completely 100% independently. Y'all, I cannot wait for the season to get going, like when it gets really, really good. I mean, it's good already. Already, I'm in love with this season. I love all the couples. I love all of their storylines. This is exactly, it's giving me a lot of life. I'm truly enjoying this season of 90 Day Fiance. I cannot wait for Kobe to come. I cannot wait for Mionas to come. I cannot wait for Shahida to come when Bilal takes her to that broken down, run down house and pretend like it's his house to see what her reaction is going to be. Y'all, I cannot wait. TLC is doing it, and they're doing it big this season, and I'm loving it. If you made it this far into my review, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.